Founding something like and turning it into an obsession isn't a novelty for me. Looking at my current project of making a video about the psychology of every intoner, for which I had to read the manga, read the novellas, beat the then last boss, which wasn't very fun. Good music though. Anyways, and I have also found a very interesting blog about the novelization of the game. Below I will leave the link. So yeah, I get it. But at the same time, the problem with Free is the object of her obsession. It starts innocently. She just comes across a toy that has been created by an evil lord, just like you do. He used human parts to create the doll and other constructions just for the sake of it. He is reluctant to use his creations to fight a very real threat of 5 magic girls that have broken into his castle. Only when he is assured there will be more resources for his doll making does he relent. And doesn't that remind me of someone? After the evil lord is defeated and girls leave his castle, Free brings the doll with her. She knows fully well how this doll has been made, but she considers it cute. She always wanted a doll, but since neither she nor her sisters had any money, she had to do without. And finally she gets one, even though it is made out of people. Insert some Hannibal joke here. Oh shit, I forgot about inserting it here. Let's move on. Free even quarrels with one about it, something that seems unprecedented for the sisters. A Kraken attack saves her from having to argue some more, like you do, and later everyone is too concerned about one to even think about that doll. This proves to be a little bit of a mistake. As Free gets older, her obsession grows. At first, it doesn't concern the doll making only. Octa mentions in his novella that she has a tendency to be obsessed about things, wherein she forgets about eating or taking care of herself.
It was an odd obsession, to be sure. One the elderly man would often worry about if the mood struck him.
This kind of hyper-focus can mean immersing herself so completely in an activity that she wants to do or enjoys doing to the point that she becomes obvious to everything around her. This concentration can be so intense that an individual loses track of time, other chores, or the surrounding environment. She likes what she's doing.
It's fun, and I have lots of things I want to research.
Of course.
So it isn't a compulsion. Repetitive behavior or mental act that an individual feels driven to perform in response to an obsession, or according to rules that must be applied rigidly, which are caused by obsessions. By obsessions, I mean recurrent and persistent thoughts, urges, or images that are experienced as intrusive and unwanted. So we can cross out OCD out of all possible problems that Free has. Hyperfocus can be associated with autism and some other problems. Yet I think that autism is the illness that creators were going for. As time passes, Free focuses on copying the doll she has had with herself since she was a child. Which means from a year ago, she copies the craft while using dead bodies from cemeteries, but well, dead bodies smell. She also wants to play with her dolls, so she starts using alive subjects, so she can have someone who listens to her. She notices that they don't ask stupid questions like, "What does that mean?" or "I don't know, what are you saying?" Yeah, I could use some dolls like that with my accent. Her perception of what makes a good conversation corresponds with the diagnosis of autism. Autism spectrum disorder is characterized by persistent deficits in social communication and social interaction across multiple contexts, including deficits in social nonverbal communicative behaviors used for interactions with others, and skills in developing, maintaining, and understanding relationships. Well, three friends don't last long, be it for her cooking or the method in which they were created. So she learns the factors that play a role in the longevity of her dolls. She exhibits a fixated interest that is abnormal in intensity or focus. She's very strongly attached to a rather unusual object, which, according to DSM-5, the Bible of psychology and psychiatry, it is one of possible signs of autism disorder. Free does show flexibility in her actions, as she does want to improve. Her focus seems to lie on reaching the perfect doll. She starts wondering about the concept of being cute. She wants to know what it means for one thing to be cuter than the other. To do that, she applies a scientific method. She ranks her creations from the least cute to the most appealing one. She looks for traits that differentiate the ranges of cuteness. According to what she has found, she tries to create a creature that has all of the cute characteristics. She notices that the rounder stomach and fluffier hands, legs and fingers are the selling points. So she looks for material to put into her dolls to make them more round. Here, I would like to remark, we are talking about corpses mixed with living humans. At first, I assumed she was making them eat more, to make their stomachs more round. But, well, she began writing about cutting them open. So much for a kid-friendly solution. Anyway, she finds the perfect proportions and ways to achieve that. And then she comes to the conclusion she has created something resembling a human baby.
How about some trivia time?
We tend to think that creatures with big heads, while compared to their bodies, and big eyes look cute because they do resemble human babies. Evolution has made sure we will want to take care of such creatures, because it assures the survival of the species. Not to say all of us just want to take care of babies, it's just that families with genes responsible for this behavior had a bigger chance of survival, and sharing those genes with their offsprings. But genetics are more complicated than this, so there is always a chance of someone not having the right combination for this effect to happen, or having it, but also associating big-headed things with something scary. Fear, after all, can be taught and it can override instinct. Back to the game. Free changes into a different person when she speaks about her creations. Suddenly she has a lot to say. She even uses long sentences.
All my hard work.
You really do love speaking upon the subject of dolls, Lady 3. Oh my!
She remembers their names, their specific makeup. She clearly loves her dolls. If she was diagnosed with autism disorder, it would come with an added of without intellectual or language impairments. It is a common misconception that people with autism are math geniuses who cannot talk to people. Of course, there are probably people like that. After all, with the number of people on planet Earth, there has to be. But they are a rather small part. As her story goes on, she loses interest in sex. Yet Octa still accompanies her. It isn't until he witnesses how far she was willing to go for her experiments that he relents. She uses hatred created by killing people in front of their families to create even more powerful dolls. She seems completely removed from morality. But it isn't like she's evil, more like she's so innocent that she has never learned good from bad, and that she doesn't have a theory of mind. It is an ability that lets one, okay, not that one, just, a person, know that others too have mental states. They can feel happy, angry, they can know things you do not know, or they can see different things that you currently do. Children learn this ability as they grow. A funny little experiment can let anyone check if the child has reached this stage of development. In a task constructed by Wimmer and Perner, children see a scenario where one character hides a marble in a basket and walks out of the scene. Another character takes out the marble and and puts it in a box. Knowing that the first character did not see the switching task, children were asked to predict where the first character would look to find the marble. The results show that children younger than 4 answered that the character would look inside the box because they have a superior knowledge of where the marble actually is. They thought that even if the character itself did not see the scenario, it has the same amount of knowledge as oneself, and therefore should look inside the box to find the marble. As children start to acquire theory of mind, their ability to recognize and process others' beliefs and values overrides the natural tendency to be egocentric. As there are strong hints that Free is supposed to play the role of an autistic person in the group, I cannot help but look for other answers. I have to applaud Mr. Yokotaro for committing to the idea, as Free shows not only telling characteristics of the disorder, but also smaller gimmicks people often overlook. And yet there are also other ways to explain her behavior. Free also seems to check out a lot of schizoid personality disorder criteria. She shows a detachment from social relationships and a restricted range of expression of emotions in interpersonal settings. She seems to lack a desire for intimacy, prefers to spend time on her own, and doesn't care about developing deeper relationships. Her hobbies do not include other living people, and her sexual desires plummet down as octaves go up. People with this disorder seem indifferent to the approval or criticism of others. They usually display a bland exterior without visible emotional reactivity and rarely reciprocate gestures or facial expressions such as smiles or nods. Yet Free seems to miss having her sisters around her. She wants someone who understands her, even though her sisters also seem to struggle with that. One thinks it is Free's fault that the forest gets poisoned in Branch D. Poisoning the forest means that Free loses her dolls, which takes a heavy toll on her. She would never do something like this. She comes to a conclusion it is all one's fault. This means that the cause is something else, but the paranoia is getting to Free. In the end, Free's problem is that neither she nor her sisters had time to truly try to understand each other. A loving family in which members accept each other's differences can do wonders. But this doesn't occur very often in the real world, and neither does it in Drakengard. Since no one was there to teach Free that people feel pain or tell her what was good or bad, she just used what was close to her. Later, even if she realized what was wrong, she had gone too deep. And was there a way to save Free? A way to save her from madness? If she had stayed with her sisters, she would have someone to talk to, but also someone to teach her about humanity. Maybe not the rules we would consider fully okay or normal, but some basic rules. One would be the best to share those with her sisters. Free is clearly passionate about the subjects she cares about, and her sisters used to belong to this category. Alright, this is it for Free. It was more of a run down the memory lane, but I did try to share some psychology knowledge. Hope you like it. I don't feel very comfortable with branding her as an autistic person, because I don't like putting people with disabilities as villains, especially when we are considering a disorder as stigmatized as autism. Yet, as it seems to happen in Yokotaro's game, people with mental issues can end up in very different places, depending on their own effort and those who surround them. I hope this video has a vibe of love and take care of each other. I hope. Anyway, our most tragic intoner is coming next. Be sure to subscribe if you want to hear more from me. Cheers!